The other day, I opened up my cell phone and I see that Black Friday online sales topped $9 billion dollars in the new record. And at first glance, when you initially read this, you automatically assume that it's good news. The exact number was 9.12 billion, which represented a growth rate of 2.3% year over year. We're going to talk in this video why that is not good news. That is actually bad news. I'm going to explain exactly why. We're going to look at a bunch of different Google trend charts that can help display this type of growth, or should I say lack thereof, and how this is not nearly as good as news as you think it is. Obviously, you want consumers, you want the American spender going out and spending as much money as possible. Because as stock market investors, what do we want? We want companies that can generally grow their revenue over time. If you're an investor like Apple, what drives the stock price up is people buying the new iPhone, people purchasing apps on the App Store, people subscribing to their Apple subscriptions. If you're an investor in something like Amazon, what you want is a perfect time like Black Friday when people buy lots and lots of products. And what takes the stock chart over time is people buying products on Black Friday, Prime Day, and other holiday events like that. Now, this article may seem like good news. It might seem like fantastic news, but we're going to talk in this video why it's not. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you haven't seen me before, my name's Jordan. I'm a millennial investor. My portfolio balance as of today is around $40,800. If you want to see my portfolio balance mapped out since starting my investing journey, when I started my YouTube channel back in April of 2020, here you go. At the first of the month, every single month, we'll be updating this in just 3 or 4 videos from now. Here's my holdings and my growth portfolio, which currently has Salesforce, Amazon, Google, and Crocs. And here's my performance versus the major indexes. If you want to see my portfolio below or invest in it yourself, you can check out down below in the description the opportunity to get signed up with M1 Finance, and you would help support the channel and get free $10 for signing up like the 134 people that have done so far. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this article and talk about why it is not good news. So you can see that spending is up 2.3% year over year. Now we could talk about inflation rates, and obviously when this started to increase was back in early 2021, right around a year and a half or so ago. You can see that originally we had 1% or less inflation. At one point we actually had 0.1% in May of 2020. Now as CPI began to increase, we began to see 2% inflation, 3%, 4%, 5%, and all the way up to a record 9.1% in June of this year, just 4 or 5 months ago. Now we have started to trend down a little bit, but if you look to where we're at right now, October is 7.7%, November is likely going to be somewhere around that 7-8% number as well, and basically you can see that overall prices of goods and services have went up around 8% year over year, roughly, right? Now going back to this article, you can see that spending increased 2.3%. And the reason this is not good news is because when we look at the CPI, we know that prices of goods and services have went up about 8%. Even though spending increased about 2%, that means we're somewhere around a negative 5 to 6% negative real spending. Because basically, we would have to see spending increase a minimum of 8% just to match last year's actual record because prices have gone up so much. What we really want to see is a Black Friday number of people spending at 8%, 10%, 12% more year over year, but as we can see that's not happening, and that's what's led us to a recession. Let me give you an example of something that is good. So let's go back to Prime Day. Now this wasn't in November, this goes back to July, this is several months ago. This is as the recession is not as deep as we are today. Obviously we've gone downhill, and I'm not sure when we're going to bottom out and recover. But let me show you an example. This is Google Trends. If you're not familiar with what Google Trends is, I highly recommend it if you're a stock market investor or if you just like numbers and data in general. It'll show you how much people are searching for a specific term, specific word, a person, anything like that, okay? So let's look at Prime Day last year in 2021. You can see right here, right when Prime Day was released, it peaked at around 70% of the overall chart. A 70. Obviously, that was Prime Day last year. That's when people were searching it. And then obviously it died down shortly after. And then next year, which is where we're at now in 2022, it hit the full 100, the highest it ever has been in the history of the company. P.S. They also tried a secondary Prime Day, didn't do nearly as well, obviously because it didn't have the big deals like the last one. I think the only reason Amazon really did this was to try to boost their numbers for fourth quarter, because honestly, when you look at their revenue growth in the North America region, it had started to slow down at the beginning of the year, especially when we zoom in here and we look at the numbers for the first and second quarter in North America. You can see see it was only 9 and 10%. It finally increased back up to 20 because of Prime Day, because they changed the quarterly results. And I think they're trying to get a boost for Q4 so that way they can put up a big number. But nonetheless, that's besides the point. You can see that overall it has been trending upwards. If we look at this on a 5-year basis, you can see that generally speaking, we are going up over time. With the exception of the 2018 number, you can see that over time, this record in 2022 was pretty much the highest we'd ever had. Now, if we look at Black Friday, just the search term Black Friday, this is not just for Amazon. This is for any and everything Black Friday, whether it's Best Buy or Target or Walmart or Amazon or whatever it is, this is what we're looking for. Now, a year ago, you can see that the chart was at 100, the peak versus last year. And today, look how much lower we are. Now, the data is still flowing in. Let me go ahead and refresh, make sure I have the most up-to-date data. Yeah, it actually went down one. It was just 45. So you can see that a year ago I was at the 100. Today, 44. That's less than half of the search terms that we were at a year ago. And I think overall shopping trends, not just on Black Friday, but that weekend, that week of big sales and deals, have kind of gone downhill, and that's not good. Now, I know that we're still interpreting some of the data. I'm filming this on Saturday, the day after Black Friday. It takes some time for them to collect this data, but generally speaking, you can see that this is going to be way below where we were last year. Same thing if I use the same search term, Black Friday deals. Let me see, right now it's at a 43. I opened this up several hours ago, so let me refresh. And yeah, you can see it's right at the same level, 43, versus last year's 100. So overall, if we look at Black Friday and Black Friday deals, they look like pretty much the same chart. And they're only about half of what you would expect them to be on a year-over-year basis. And that is just crazy. Same thing if you look at just the search term Amazon. Take out Black Friday, just search the word Amazon in general. This company has more revenue than any other company on the planet, even if you compare it to Walmart. Walmart this year is likely going to finish out with its revenue somewhere around 580 billion or so, and you can see that Amazon is likely going to outpace that very soon, because last year they grew to 469 billion, and this year they're going to finish over 500 billion, so they should be overtaking Walmart soon. So this is going to be one of the biggest search terms, especially since Walmart is a physical retailer and not so much an online retailer like Amazon is based out of. You can see during November time period, right around Black Friday, it was around an 86. That's around Black Friday last year, and today we're at an 88. It went up a teeny tiny little bit. It's basically flat year over year, no growth whatsoever. And even if you compare this to some of the companies that I own, like some specific products, like if you look back here, back in my holdings tab, you can see that the 4 companies that I own are Amazon, are Salesforce, are Google, are Crocs, and you can see that Crocs is really the only one that has like a physical good or 1 or 2 specific products. And even if you compare these, I was really disappointed when I saw this, and I'll be making a follow-up video on this. Hey dude, last year during Black Friday was 100. Let me go ahead and refresh this chart once again because I did update this a few hours ago. Okay, we are seeing some improvement that actually just jumped up, but you can see that still it hasn't outpaced last year's number. It was at 100 last year. Today, it's at a 90. Hopefully, as they finish gathering this data, we can see this go up to the new 100, break last year's record, but in the meantime, I'm not that excited. You can see 78. Once again, let me refresh because it's been a few hours. Okay, 79, but that's still not nearly as high as the 100 last year for Crocs shoes. So that makes me concerned as a Hey Dude investor, but generally speaking, when you look at numbers like this, it's misleading. When you see record sales of 9.12 billion, growing 2.3% year over year, when you consider the inflation, when you consider the actual search trends trending down in general, and that's also funny factoring in when people are generally searching more online now than they ever have, it's shocking to see this. So I think it says without question, it is a bit concerning seeing these type of Black Friday numbers. This doesn't mean I'm going to sell out of my stocks. It doesn't mean I'm not going to stay invested, because the companies that I'm in are still growing their overall businesses no matter what. Amazon is growing their overall business. If we look at Google, this is a company that is once again growing its overall business right here. All the companies that I'm invested in are hitting record numbers. So I'm not too concerned, but it is a little worrisome seeing how little Black Friday spending is actually taking place. Nonetheless, I'm going to show you guys the companies that I invest in, how I grow my portfolio to $40,000, and starting back with my $1,500 investment, I think it's safe to say that we've come a long way. One day we're going to have this chart to $50,000, to $100,000, $1 million one day, and I'm going to show you guys what I'm doing every step of the way. In the meantime, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. Get subscribed if you want to find us if you haven't already, and I'll catch you guys next time.